Bantam Doubleday Dell Audio Publishing presents Star Wars, Rogue Squadron, X-Wing, Book 1, by Michael Stackpole. You're good, Corran, but you're no Luke Skywalker.
Corran Horn's cheek still burned at the memory of Commander Antilles' evaluation of his last simulator exercise. The line was not meant to be cruel, but it cut deep. I've never tried to suggest I'm that good a pilot, Corran thought. He shook his head. No, you just wanted it to be easily recognized by everyone around you.
He flicked the starter switches for the X-Wing simulator's engines. Green 1 has 4 starts and is go.
Ural Quirg, his Gand wingman, reported.
Green 2 is operational.
Green 3 and 4 checked in. Then the external screens came alive, projecting an empty starfield.
Whistler, have you finished the navigation calculations?
The green and white R2 unit seated behind Corran hooted. Then the nav data spilled out over Corran's main monitor.
Jump to hyperspace and rendezvous on the Redemption.
Every pilot dreaded the Redemption run. The scenario was based on an Imperial attack on evacuation ships back before the first Death Star had been destroyed, while the Alliance ship, the Redemption, waited for 3 medevac shuttles and the Corvette Korolev to dock and offload wounded. The Imperial frigate Warspite danced around and dumped TIE fighters and added bombers to the mix to do as much damage as they could. The bombers, with a full load of missiles, could do a lot of damage. The Warspite would only deploy 4 starfighters and a half-dozen bombers, known in pilot slang as eyeballs and dupes respectively. But it would do so in a pattern that made it all but impossible for the New Republic pilots to save the Korolev. Stellar pinpoints elongated as Corran's X-Wing fighter came out of hyperspace, and the first shuttle began its docking maneuver with the Redemption.
Green 1, this is Green 4.
Go ahead, 4.
By the book, or are we doing something fancy?
Corran hesitated. By book, Noora Ven, the Green 4 pilot, referred to the general wisdom about the scenario. That one pilot should race out to engage the first TIE flight, while the other 3 fighters remained as backup. As long as 3 fighters stayed at home, the Warspite dropped ships off at a considerable distance from the Korolev. When they didn't, it got bolder, and the whole scenario became very bloody. The problem with going by the book was that one pilot had to deal with 5 ties, 2 eyeballs and 3 dupes, all by himself, then turn around and engage 5 more. The chances of being able to succeed against those odds were slim. But what loyal son of Corellia ever had any use for odds? By the book, Corran replied. Keep the home fires burning and pick up after me.
Done. Good luck.
Corran reached up and pressed the lucky charm he wore on a chain around his neck. It worked for you, Dad. Let's hope its luck hasn't run out yet.
The Warspite had arrived.
Corran brought the X-Wing into a wide turn and locked the S-foils into attack position as he flew out toward the Warspite.
Green 1 engaging.
Whistler announced the appearance of 3 TIE bombers, then brought the sound up as 2 TIE fighters joined them.
Whistler, tag the bombers as targets 1, 2, and 3.
As the R2 unit complied with that order, Corran pushed shield power full to front and brought his laser targeting program up on the main monitor. With his left hand, he adjusted the sighting calibration knob on the stick and got the 2 fighters. Corran took a deep breath, exhaled slowly, then let his thumb hover over the firing button. At 2 clicks, the display on Corran's control panel painted a yellow box around the lead TIE fighter. The box went green as the fighter's image locked into the HUD's targeting cross.
Corran hit the button, sending out 3 bursts of laser bolts. The first missed, but the second and third blasted through the cockpit. The hexagonal solar panel snapped off and spun through space while the ion engines exploded in a ball of incandescent gas. Corin sliced through the center of the explosion. Laser fire from the second fighter lit up his forward shields, making it impossible for him to get a good visual line on the TIE. He hurried a shot and knew he hit, but the TIE flashed past and continued on toward the Korolev. Corin throttled back almost to zero. As he let the X-Wing decelerate, he heard Url's voice.
Green 1, your velocity is down to 1%. Do you need help?
Negative, Green 2.
Corin, what are you doing?
Making the book a short story. I hope. Numbers scrolled away to zero as his missiles streaked in at their targets. One shredded the first TIE bomber. Seconds later, a nova-like explosion lit the simulator's cockpit as the second missile hit its target. Pushing his throttle to full, Corin scanned for the third bomber. He found it going in toward the Korolev. He also found 5 more TIEs coming in from the other side of the Corvette. Corin fired a missile and watched it blast through the remaining fighter, then turned his attention to the new TIEs. He'd have just over a minute to deal with the bombers before they were in firing range on the Korolev. Flicking 2 switches, he redirected energy from his shields and lasers into the engines.
Green 1, the Warspite has exited to hyperspace. Are we released to engage fighters?
Affirmative 3. Go get them. Corin frowned for a second, knowing his fellow pilots would make short work of the TIE fighters. They would deny him a clean sweep, but he'd willingly trade hitting the 2 TIEs for protecting the Corvette. Whistler, mark the bombers 4, 5, and 6. Acquire target 4. Corin centered the targeting box on the first of the dupes and fired a missile. Acquire 5. Acquire 6. Corin looked down at his display. Green 2, report. Nawara and Green 4 responded.
He's gone, 1.
Whistler, acquire 6, but the last bomber was bearing in on the Korolev. The pilot had the wide-bodied craft slowly spinning, making it a difficult target for a missile lock. Corin switched back to lasers and pushed his X-Wing forward. 2 blasts caused the TIE bomber to shy a bit, but just as Corin aimed again, the bomber jinked and cut away to port. The Corellian's eyes narrowed. Bror Jace has got to be flying that thing. Jace, a human from Typhera, was, in Corin's opinion, the second best pilot in the training squadron. Corin pulled all his shield energy forward and left his aft as naked as the shieldless TIE bomber. Following Jace through a barrel roll, he triggered a snapshot. It caught a piece of one wing, but Jace dove beneath the X-Wing's line of fire. Corin followed the other pilot's dive, but because Corin's X-Wing's rate of speed was a good 20% faster, it moved into a broad loop. By the time he finished the turnoff, the bomber came back up and banked in on the X-Wing's tail. Before it could unload a missile, Corin broke the fighter hard to port and carved across the bomber's line of fire. Jace responded by bringing the nose of the bomber up in a steep climb. He leveled off, then shrieked in at the X-Wing. Corin knew that Jace would be happy to smoke him before taking the Korolev. He hit a switch and shifted all power to the aft shields. The TIE bomber should have punched through the shields and might even have destroyed the fighter, but it hit at an angle and glanced off. The starboard wing of the unshielded bomber buckled at the impact with the X-Wing's shield, crumpling inward around the bomber's cockpit. The bomber shot into an uncontrolled tumble through the simulator's data space. Green 3, did you copy that? 3 had been shot down. The image of a lone TIE fighter making a strafing run on the Korolev appeared on Corin's monitor. The clumsy little craft skittered over the Corvette's surface, easily dodging its weak return fire. That's seriously gutsy for a TIE fighter. Or arrogant. Time to make him pay for that arrogance. The Corellian brought his proton torpedo targeting program up and locked onto the fighter. The missile shot straight in, but the pilot broke hard to port and away, causing the missile to overshoot the target. Corin brought his X-Wing over and started down to loop in behind the TIE, but as he did so, the TIE vanished from his forward screen and reappeared in his aft arc. A laser jolted a trimmer through the simulator's couch. Jinking the X-Wing right and left, Corin avoided shots coming in from behind. Who's in the fighter, he wondered. He knew Jace had been in the bomber. He was the only pilot in the unit who could have stayed with him. Except for our leader, Corin smiled. Coming to see how good I really am, Commander Antilles? He yanked the fighter's nose away from the original line of flight. The TIE stayed with him, then tightened up to close the distance. Corin put the fighter through a twisting roll that ate up enough
Sample complete. Ready to continue?